Oh, we didn't get all that political shit we were talking about just now?
Nah, I don't think people need to hear it from us.
Fair enough.
Yeah, folks, we know the world is a shit show right now, but we're gonna do the thing because we can do because it's all we can do.
Damn
It's
right.
all we can do.
It's all we can do. So let's talk about Crichton kicks. Hi, friends.
Howdy, y'all.
Hello.
And welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube.
I'm Josh Gosdin, and I'm a big old nerd.
And with us today, we have Mainely Mandy again. Hi, Mandy.
Hello. Thanks for having me on again, everybody. I think this is my, third or fourth time on now? I can't remember. It's
third at least.
I think it's got to be at least third.
You're turning into one of our most frequent contributors.
Yes.
And you really wanted this one. And you were really happy to do Crichton kicks.
Yes.
You want to tell the folks why?
It's just a really great Farscape episode. I feel like it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it's just very quintessential Farscape. You know, you got some humor in it. You got some great references to other sci-fi media. You know, all the talk of the Klingons and all that, obviously. An introduction of a new character, a couple characters, of course, because we also have the new Leviathan, and we're seeing like a different kind of Leviathan than what we've seen before, an older one. Like it's just a fun little episode. I just like it. I just like the vibes of it. Not to mention 1812 is finally here. Yes, I love 1812. I told you both. I have an 1812 tattoo on my ankle. I'm a big fan of 1812, so I'm very excited to see him.
I have a sticker of him on my laptop.
That's awesome.
I finally understand our damn podcast's theme song.
Yes, you finally know. This is a big moment for Josh.
Like I just kind of always rolled with it, you know. Like Sarah was like, "Don't worry, this is significant in Farscape." And I was like, "All right, sure."
Like, sure. Finally, we're finally at the point where you know now.
And those of you for patrons, we did do a reaction to this. If you want to see me air conducting, I couldn't help it. I did a bunch of that.
I want to see that. Yeah.
If you want to see me consumed with a girlish glee, then you should definitely go subscribe to our Patreon.
Yes.
Do it.
Crichton Kicks was written by David Kemper and directed by Andrew Prouse. When last we left our hero, he was alone in his module running out of gas. And that is where we find him. Some months later, but now he's not alone. Elac, an elderly Leviathan, has taken in our stray astronaut. Still, Elac, his pilot, and one very special DRD aren't much company, and John has gone a little crackers. His solitude comes to a rather abrupt end when a sprightly little know-it-all crashes right into the cargo bay, followed by a load of Klingonish Leviathan hunters, her former employers, now out to kill her along with Elac and anyone else on board. Crichton and the girl, Sikozu, are hiding from the Klingons when a couple of old friends show up. Chiana and Rigel are looking rough, and they're feeling it too. They show John that once again the Peacekeepers have them on a wanted list. They have nowhere to go but here. Sikozu and Chiana do not take to each other, but the group have to work together to save Elac from the Klingonish. Using Sikozu's knowledge of the Klingonish tech and Chiana's special abilities, they prepare an elaborate action set piece, and while a lot goes wrong, they are ultimately triumphant. The Klingonish are dead, and now that Elac is safe, he and his pilot offer to take John and the others to where they think some of their friends might be.
So a short summary for this one. What were your initial thoughts on the episode?
Mandy.
So I want to start off by talking about Sikozu, because that's the kind of the big new character of the show is Sikozu, and she's an interesting character. She has some interesting abilities, like she loses a limb, she can just like pop it back on, that's pretty cool. She can shift her gravity center so she can like walk on walls, kind of look like a Spider-Man character. That's kind of fun. And she because of the way the brains of her species work, she actually can't use translator microbes. So that she has to like literally learn a language by just hearing you use words, which I think is hilarious because to learn the English language from John Crichton of all people, who is just constantly dropping in references and just muttering to himself and just not making any sense with the people who do have translator microbes. It's just like, oh girl, you're not going to understand anything. I think that was like my first thing I thought when I was watching the episode. It's just like, oh yeah, this is like the worst person to learn human language from, like the worst person.
I could think of some worse people.
I mean, there's probably some people that are worse than that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of funny to me that she has to learn the human language by like just listening to him, and he's calling her Sputnik and mentioning Klingons and even speaking Klingon at one point, which was great. I do love that moment.
I wonder if she learns Klingon.
That'd be great. I would love it if she learned Klingon. It is interesting though, because Sakozu as a person, I don't like. I think she's a great character for the show, and she works great in the show, and I like what they do with her. I just mean me as a person, I don't like the way she treats my favorite characters. You know, like the way that she's treating, you know, Chiana and Rigel and John, like they're all just a bunch of idiots, which sometimes they can be not the smartest people. We know that. But she automatically assumes she knows more than them, even though they have more actual lived experiences, which it just drives me crazy. And it's a kind of a consistent theme with her throughout the show without getting into spoilers, is her assuming she knows more and other characters being kind of like, really? You know, like, and she thinks she does. And then they point out like, no, you don't know that. Like she says, oh, this hatch is supposed to be right here. And he's like, no, it's not. And it's like, oh, you don't know. You just think you know. And I think that's a very interesting character trait to have, but it does make her very annoying to me sometimes.
We love a little bit of arrogance, except when we don't like a little bit of arrogance.
Basically, yeah. We love it till we hate it.
Yeah. I mean, it's she's not alone. And I mean, to some degree, they're all arrogant in their own ways, for sure.
Mm.
But I
That's very true.
Yeah. But I also enjoyed getting to meet a new character who I think clicks better, quicker than the last couple of new characters that we've gotten. Than the mysterious old lady who popped up just to give John non-consensual therapy, or even in Jewel's first appearance. Like Jewel was very much an outsider. John and Sakozu actually have decent chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was easier for me to, as a viewer, to like jump in and kind of get on board with her character and be curious about her character. Like I want to learn more about her, you know? So I enjoyed the intro to her as well, for sure. And I'm looking forward to learning more about her.
Yeah, she is an obnoxious pain in the ass, but that can work as a character trait.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
she's in good company on this show then.
Right.
Yeah. You know,
she has found her people for sure.
She's a little know-it-all, and this is not at all familiar to exactly who I was in my 20s. Nothing but book learning.
Mm-hmm.
You were Sakozu?
I apologize to my workmates in my first job.
That's okay. I think I'm still John, so that going for me.
Yeah. But I think there is something quite entertaining about the sort of gifted kid coming up against reality, at least in fiction.
It's not all that entertaining when you're the gifted kid coming up against reality in real life.
No,
right.
Nor for everybody else who has to deal with them. It's not a bad thing for John to have to deal with somebody else's nerdery. Yeah, poor John though. He's been through quite a lot by the time we meet him. This time he has a real beard as opposed to the badger he had on his face.
Yes, the beard looks so much better this time. This is the best his beard's ever looked. Like,
yeah.
Well, because this is a real one, and that was face merkin. That was a weird
Jeremiah Crichton beard.
Yes.
Ugh,
yeah.
I hate that beard so much. Every time I see it, offends me.
I'm offended by this beard.
I am.
Among so many
I don't know
other
what it
things.
is. It's just
I mean, it's a reminder of Jeremiah Crichton.
Sure.
Yeah.
But he looks, I think I said this during our rewatch. He looked like freaking Moses as he was walking
kinda.
around with his, like, you know,
His
earth
tunic.
tones. And yeah. I don't know if that was on purpose or that's just what Ben Browder looks like.
I was thinking Robinson Crusoe. I think those were the, you know,
Yeah.
yes, and he's made his own still, and just the way that he protects the booze when the crash is happening is just so John. So yeah, we had some fun Mind Palace thing. He's got a new location in his Mind Palace, which is Bondi Beach. And I know that Josh really enjoyed Harvey's outfit change.
Yes, it was funny. It was awesome.
The Hawaiian shirt and the hat.
Yeah. And he was just so like goofy too.
The way he's like shuffling around in the sand, like seeing hot ladies walk by and be like, like just being like a sitcom character. It's great.
It was giving Niles Crane is what it was.
It was a very physical performance. William Pygram continues to just be amazing. I love him so much.
Honestly.
And it's fun. You know, the evolution of Harvey throughout the show has been very interesting too. You know, when we first started Harvey, he was just Scorpius. He was just showing up as Scorpius, being kind of creepy. Occasionally, he did wear a Hawaiian shirt in season 2 at one point, but like, you know, when those happened, it was usually when John was like having a mental breakdown. And then as time goes on, you know, he has changed into this like he has merged more with John's personality and references. And so now he's completely new character and it feels very organic. So it's fun to see him at this point now in the show where he's just kind of goofy and he's just reminding John, you know, like, hey, you know, just have fun. It's all good. And then he's chasing after hot ladies on the beach before John talks to the Aryan copy in his head, which is kind of sad, but it's really good.
Very sad. And I was thinking about it afterwards, and our podcast is Muppet Sex and Trauma on purpose. But also, this episode definitely felt like, the producers wanted to remind us that Claudia Black has a smoke show, as if we need to be reminded of that. But also, the just the changing of appearance from her going to being like visibly pregnant to not pregnant as the conversation went on. It was really poignant. I think it was. As John was, talking to her and kind of like coming to grips with what life could be and what life couldn't be and stuff like that.
He's very much escaped into his own head and to this sort of dream of a life, which he already sort of reckoned in the last episode that he couldn't really have. And yet he's retreated into it, into this fantasy and imagining feeling the baby and but he works through that in this, which is it's very bittersweet and very sad.
Yeah, at the end when he stands up and walks away from her, like that was that got me. Right here in the Spock. That got me.
Right in the Spock. Oh.
Yes, I'm sure that's a reference that makes sense to the people who are listening.
Yeah, the also shout out to the whoever did the prosthetic belly, because that looked really good. Like it looked really good. It looked like a real belly. Yeah. I always maybe go like, wait, when I was watching it, I had the moment of like, wait, was she pregnant when they filmed this? No, because then they show back and she's flat bellied again. So clearly it wasn't. But I did have a moment like, I don't think she was.
I had kind of the opposite reaction of like, oh, okay, so I guess that's why Erin's pregnant, because Claudia Black is actually pregnant. And then at the end, when they showed, regular Claudia, it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very convincing belly.
I believe she only has one kid. She was pregnant during some of Stargate. Their production is always so good. And but it's those realistic moments that it is when it's surprising. So personally, I love the addition of 1812. The music and the little DRD, as I said, like I have a sticker of this guy. I want the plushie.
I would love a plushie.
They are unfortunately very expensive often when you find them, but because they're collector's item. But I would love a plushie. Maybe there's a knitting pattern out there somewhere for a little 1812 guy. I don't know why, and I can't find any actual answer as to why he's dressed in a French flag for a Russian symphony. Like Napoleon is the enemy in the War of in the 1812. I have no idea why that is, and there's a bunch of other people that as far as I can tell, am I going, I don't know why he's painted in a French flag. Because Tchaikovsky, the French are the enemy in Tchaikovsky's 1812. And he's not. I don't think the 1812 is an enemy. He's a friend.
He's not. He's friendship.
Yeah, no, he's a little guy. He's a little guy who helps him out. That's interesting. I didn't even catch that anachronism.
Yeah, I always just assumed he was painted red, white, and blue because that's like those are also the American colors. So like I just assumed he just did a stripe of white, a stripe of blue, and the red just to be like nostalgic. But I never even thought about it looking like the French flag before.
I didn't even think of it being American. And of course, there was the War of 1812. There was also a War of 1812 in America. Where we burned down the White House and the Americans ran. Sorry, there's a song. There's a song by Three Trolls in a Baggie, I think it's called. But I think but called the War of 1812. That all Canadians know because the story is that Canada, which technically didn't exist yet, but we don't care, went down and burned the White House.
Nice.
This is probably not a phrase I should be saying right now.
You said it twice now.
Said it twice.
Yeah, but you
blocked from YouTube.
Yeah,
suppressed, account banned.
Our monetization is gone.
Yeah,
maybe John just doesn't know the Russian flag from the French flag because they are same colors.
That is also entirely possible. Yeah,
that could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's great. I love 1812. He's just such a cute little guy. Without spoiling it, excellent addition to the crew. Very helpful little guy. We love him so much. And I love that it's just so funny too that like that's a thing John taught a DRD to do was to like sing him this little symphony. It's just like I'm almost surprised they didn't have him do more. Like had other songs, like he had like maybe like a little shuffle or something. We had a couple. But maybe it just took so long to teach the one that they couldn't get to any more in his they would like to listen to. But I don't know.
Maybe there's only so many royalties they can.
True. That's probably the more practical reason. Like, we can't put on, like.
The Ode to Joy would also have been great.
Yeah. That would have been great.
I mean, it's always a good time. Now I'm stuck on the symbolism of the flag. Maybe John, because the Russians kicked the French ass. Maybe John feels like he's on the losing side right now.
Certainly feels like on the losing side when it comes to like Aaron and then having, everyone just get sucked into a wormhole and disappeared.
Yeah.
You could feel that way. It's possible.
Yeah. And I'm thinking we're way overthinking this, but I'm thinking about the tactics.
You brought it up.
You started this.
I'm overthinking a thing. How surprising. No, but I was just thinking about the tactics that the Russians used during the War of 1812, where they did scorched earth and they just they just backed off and they just let them have Moscow, but with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And it I don't know. I'm just thinking that's kind of an interesting, given that so much of the themes we have around like weapons and nuclear like stuff and the ethics of war and peace that have been sort of sprinkled throughout. It's just interesting. I don't know that I can draw any direct connections. It's just interesting story stuff.
And it's cute little DRD.
And it's a very cute little DRD.
Very cute.
And a damn fine piece of music. I love the 1812.
Yeah.
I like the Russians.
it gets a whole lot of play here in the States on the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Well, when you can add cannons to a symphony.
I mean, that's about as American as you can get. Big guns and music. Like what more could you want?
written by a conflicted gay man.
That's about as American as you can get.
American is apple pie.
Now I'm the reason we're going to get demonetized.
we aren't monetized. We don't have
Well,
enough
there you go. You got nothing to lose.
We're this close.
Yeah, we got nothing to lose because we get. Okay, so sad moment. Let's talk about Chiana.
Let's talk about Chiana.
Oh, Chiana. Chiana has gone through so much. I would really like her to be able to have a nice vacation,
Yeah.
Like the kind of vacation where she goes and everything's fine and she doesn't get kidnapped and drugged or anything weird and has her liquid sucked out.
Contemplated suicide on the edge of a precipice or anything.
Yeah. Just like a normal month off.
She needs to chill on a beach.
She needs a vacation. Poor girl. Like she's gone through so much. And you can tell like the way that the design for her and Rigel, you can tell they have been through some shit. Like they have gone through some stuff. And the way she's acting, she's almost feral. Like there's this very like the way she's like growling and hissing at John, and it's very animalistic and uncomfortable. And it makes you want to like put a blanket over her and be like, Gianna, it's gonna be okay. Like and she's clearly gone through some stuff, and then she's still going through some stuff because of this this ability that she has, this sort of extra cognition, whatever you want to call it, that she uses in the episode, and the cost of that is that she goes blind and is dealing with that. So yeah, she's going through a lot. Mm-hmm.
It's a classic, the blind seer.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they're kind of taking Gianna in that direction. I feel like it's you said it in a few episodes ago, Sara. Like I feel like it's really interesting to give one of the most impulsive characters the ability of foresight. Like the chance to be so predictive that she can literally plan 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 moves ahead. But the way she describes it in this episode is interesting too. She doesn't describe it necessarily as foresight, but just as like being suddenly able to be aware of everything around her all at once. I think she says like I can see the present or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sees it like slowed down is kind of how she describes it. At least, if she hasn't already described it that way. I think she describes that way in a future episode without getting into spoilers, really. But it's essentially she can see the present, but she can kind of see everything about the present. So it's slowing, and you kind of saw that in the episode, like when she's going up on the pulley system they have there. You see her kind of seeing like, okay, that's where these guys are, and that's where this thing is that John has to shoot, and this is the direction, and all of that. So it's a very useful ability. Really great ability. It just has this cost to it, this other side to it, which makes you wonder, like, how is it worth it overall? And that's, I think, the question Chiana's struggling with.
Yeah, I think whenever you give a character a special ability, really you have to give it a cost to make it for the narrative sort of balance. Otherwise, they tend to get overpowered. But we also, like with Chiana, we just want her to get a break. But, and of course, it's going to manifest when she's at a casino. And yeah.
And she won 7 games in a row. It's like, girl, after like the first 4, was that not enough?
Yeah.
You pushed your luck way too much.
She doesn't know when to walk away.
Yeah.
No. And that's also been something very consistent with her for a very long time.
Yeah. The poor thing. Yeah. And Rigel is actually empathetic towards her, which is an indication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of both what they've been through and also of both of their character growths.
Yeah. So now we once again have the return of the beacons and the wanted list. They are all wanted fugitives once again.
Once again.
And for some reason, Rigel is wanted a little bit more than Shiana. He's worth 7 million and she's worth 5 million.
I'll be curious to see how this came about because I didn't for a second think that it was going to stick last season when they were all like, yeah, I guess we're good. Like we're fine, right? But what has renewed the Peacekeeper's interest in everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you got to be careful about pulling guns on people. As John said.
As a general rule, yes.
They might be a little upset about them whole like blowing up a command carrier thing. Just maybe a little bit. They might just a little angry.
I'm just so curious. Like, what could they have possibly done to make them wanted fugitives again?
Nothing.
Maybe they just pissed Grayza off.
She was pretty pissed.
She was. That's true.
Saw her.
Is Braca still alive? Don't answer that.
We will find out, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we want to talk about? He's solved the wormhole stuff.
He solved the wormhole stuff. That's pretty significant because that's been the show this whole time is the wormhole, or most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Wormhole technology. He has unlocked it. So what does that mean now? What is he going to use it for? Is he going to use it? Can he go back home now? Like it brings up a lot of interesting possibilities, especially in light of him sort of kind of letting go of this like fantasy that he had in his head. It's like, does that mean he's kind of giving up on that and Earth, or is that just him just moving on from Aaron specifically?
Well, I definitely found the opening. I paid in our rewatch, as you can see if you subscribe to our Patreon. I was paying attention to the opening really carefully to see A, who was in it still, and B, what was different about it. Excellent production values, but also like he's talking about protecting Earth now. He's talking about warning Earth now instead of trying to get back home. So for the first 2 seasons, it was getting back home. In season 3. The narration was split between him wanting to go home but wondering if he should. And in the 4th season now, the narration is very solidly like, no, Earth could be in jeopardy and I have to warn them.
Look up and share the wonders I've seen.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Because we also... Like for being lost in a distant part of the universe, we sure have spent a lot of time on Earth, whether it was real or not. Over the course of this show. And so, I don't feel like it's out of the realm of possibility that at some point this season we're going to get to Earth, even if it's not the climactic event or anything like that. But I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is an interesting possibility.
Oh my
Sara
God.
and I are both just like, say nothing, reveal nothing, just stoic over here. We're fine. We got this.
I was complimenting Sara's poker face recently. It's gotten so much better than when we first started.
Yeah.
Yes. Some things will be answered and other things will not.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you. That's storytelling.
Josh is like, yeah, that's how it works.
I've seen television.
How did you like our Klingons?
I like them. They're fun. I mean, they're not the most interesting species we've ever come across. They're basically they're just Klingons, but instead of like the normal thing, they have like little bits of metal or something up on their face. And they have, they almost sound Russian or something. Like they all have a little bit of an accent that I'm not sure if they were trying to go for Russian or what they were going for there, but they're Klingon knockoffs, but they acknowledge it and it's fine.
It's sort of Russia by way of Scotland, possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah. It was Hunt for Red October, Russia.
Sean Connery as.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Pavel Chekhov Russians.
Nuclear vessels. They weren't as gross. Farscape has this tendency to make that archetype of bad guy, like that kind of like hair metal band archetype, kind of gross. Like they'll be sweaty, they'll be drooly, they'll be slobbery, they'll be snotty in some form or fashion, and they weren't that gross this time around. And I commented in our reaction that I was a little bummed to see the dog was a CG construct instead of a Muppet.
Yeah. Especially the CGI from that period. It is. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Like, early 2000 CGI was horrendous, but
it is very video game.
Yeah. But then also you can't really do a Muppet like racing through the corridors and leaping off of the walls and stuff like that. Like, unless you do like a POV shot of Kermit like screaming in front of it.
Right. Also, can we talk about how Sokozu lied? She was like, the dog's like this big, and the dog was not that. It was like it was big.
It was a big dog.
Like, this is not, that's different.
Maybe she only saw, schematics of the dog as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, she forgot to read the fine print.
Yeah.
Not to scale.
Yeah, there you go. She saw the drawing of it, and it was that big.
She paid for it. She lost her arm to the dog.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Mm-hmm. That was the most fucking hilarious / roast me the fuck out gag that they've done in a while. When she just instinctively reached for the rope with her bad wrist, and her wrist just fell off with the rope.
Oh my god!
I was like, oh my god!
And the entire time she's reaching for Chiana, I'm just sitting there going, "Don't do it! Give her other hands. Give her the other hand. What are you doing?"
And she was just so like, "Oh man," about it.
Yeah,
it was
yucks.
Perfect.
That's not the first time that's happened to her.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Her species, by the way, is called the Kalish.
The Kalish. Yeah. Okay. The Kalish, that's right. Also, before we move on too far from the dog, the whole thing of John bleeding like a goat and being like, meh, meh, and then he's like showing it his butt. Like, come on, you want some of this? I do love all of that. All of that's gold. That's another reason why I call this a very quintessential Farscape episode, is like something like that happens in it.
Yeah, it's absolutely classic, John.
Yeah. I'm going to go so far. I'm going to go so far as to say that was a deliberate call out to Jurassic Park.
I think it was. I'm almost positive it was. It had to be.
Oh yeah,
because it's John.
Yeah, it's John. Yeah.
You got to call him Klingons earlier, so he's always got his pop culture on the brain.
Yeah.
In addition to all of his wormhole equations.
Right, and then like he called Sokozu, Sputnik, and and then the other reference. I don't know if they actually are referencing it or not, but when he's in the liquid poo puddle there at the bottom, and he at one point he has it up to here and he's kind of like sneaking around. I got very Predator vibes.
See, I'm not sure. G.I. Jane.
Oh, you know what? Kind of G.I. Jane's too. Yeah.
I was thinking Apocalypse Now.
Oh, that too. So it could have been any one of those movies. It could have been all of them, really.
A lot of characters have swum in shit, apparently.
Yes. It's a thing.
Shawshank Redemption. But that doesn't have the up to the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just surrounding him on all sides.
Yeah. That the two set pieces in this thing that are particularly good is the whole the goat to the dog thing and the major action set piece with the music and the everything and the
ropes, and
that is just so well done.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a plot heavy episode. Like the summary is very short, but they just every moment of it they just go all in and get what they can out of it. And it's just a lot of fun, and part of that is they worried about whether they would get another season. Every season they were worried if they would get another season. And they really were told that they needed to bring in new viewers and get people up to speed. So, we have this like it's got some explaining of where we are, but a lot of it is like, look, this is crazy and fun. Do you want to get on board for the fun ride? And I think they do just a terrific job of that. And it is so much fun.
Yeah, it is. And like, it's definitely an episode where I feel like if you were a new viewer and this is your first time watching Farscape, it's a good one to jump into because, yeah, like you said, it's not very plot heavy. You don't necessarily need to know that much about the characters' backstories at this point because you kind of get the sense like you're like, oh, okay, these two new people that just showed up, they know John. They used to be on maybe some other ship together. Like you kind of get a sense of, and then also they've gone through new things that they're talking about. So like it is a good episode to sort of jump in. As opposed to maybe an episode like from one of the multiple part episodes or something. Like the end of last season would not have been a good time to jump into Farscape. Like I'm going to check this out now. Like now this is a pretty good like starter episode. I think the biggest confusing thing could in theory be some of the fantasy sequence stuff with like Harvey and all that. Like that stuff I can imagine might throw off a new viewer because it's like, who the fuck is this guy? And who's she? Like what's going on there? But even then, I think it's still a really fun episode.
You know, knowing at the very least this is the last season, as I understand it, Sara, as you've said, that they didn't plan for this to be the last season. It got canceled, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was hope for a 5th season.
Yeah. It's always a little, I guess, bittersweet getting as close to the end as we are now. And so it having this sort of like fresh introduction to me had the effect of it being like, all right, let's start our final chapter. Like that was sort of the I guess the sensation that I was experiencing as I was watching the episode.
Well, the miniseries is really the final chapter.
Understood. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Those were the nostalgic vibes that I was getting from the episode though.
But yeah, we are sort of on our way towards the end, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, what an end.
Yep. We have some fun stuff to come. Yeah. Do we have anything else about this episode?
I miss Dargo. I'm glad we got Rigel.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder, like, where is he at? Is he okay? Where's that old lady alien? Is she around somewhere still?
Jewel, is she still shrieking?
Is Jewel still shrieking somewhere? Always.
Well, there were quite a number of outtakes about this episode. Some of which they actually put in the previously on the next episode, which will feel very confusing. So yeah, for Josh, for viewers, you didn't miss something. They decided that it didn't belong in this episode and they didn't know what to do with it. So they just stuck it in the previously on.
Wow.
One of the things that we do instead just get a brief mention from Elak or from Elak's pilot is that they're going somewhere where they believe their friends are. Something that was also kind of intended to be set up even in Dog with Two Bones, but you know, so we will find them in a new location that, you know, yes, we will find some of our friends in a new location next week because that is what they're sort of setting up at the end of this episode.
I trust this show to take its time to do what it needs to do. And right now what it's doing is it's putting the band back together.
Yep.
Yeah. Which next episode will be a 2-parter that we will be discussing as one.
Yay.
With Zilla.
Nice.
Yay.
But before we get there, is there anything else that we want to discuss in this episode?
I don't think so. I can't think of anything else. Like again, it's a very simple episode. There's not necessarily a lot of like themes to unpack in this one. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a fun episode. I guess we didn't really talk about the new Leviathan too much, Elak and the pilot. That's kind of it's interesting to see like a later staged Leviathan because we've seen a baby Leviathan. Granted, it's a hybrid Leviathan, so it's not like a normal Leviathan, but like we've seen like a baby Leviathan. We always see Moya as like an adult, still young, but like an adult, fully grown Leviathan. And now we're seeing Elak, who is an older, at the end of its life, Leviathan. It's 350 years old, and is going to die any minute. Like that's why they were in the sacred space. So that's kind of interesting. And we can see that like there's only, I'm pretty sure 1812 is the only DRD at this point that's still operational on the Leviathan. I think maybe there's a couple other ones, but I think it was just 1812. And then like you can tell that like the pilot is like old and like she keeps falling asleep. She's such a sweetheart. I love her. She's got old grandma vibe. She's like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody. And she's very sweet. But like she also has like kind of like little growths. You can tell like it's a very older Leviathan. It's a very different design. It's interesting to see.
It was interesting to see in a very like, how do you depict an older creature like a Leviathan? They wrinkled the bulkheads, and in some of the exterior shots, they wrinkled the CG model of the hull, which was both effective and also for me a little cheesy in a like old people get wrinkly kind of a way. Like, but why is that true for this giant space whale? But then I don't know. I kind of had this weird internal back and forth with it where I didn't like it, but then I liked it, but then I didn't like it. I loved the set design unquestionably, and the CG model was gorgeous. It was just that particular artistic choice for some reason stuck out. And this is maybe one of the smallest nits I've ever picked on this podcast, but like that was just kind of something that stuck out to me.
Yeah, I like the choice to sort of make it look like her skin is shedding, that you know, like she's sort of molting. That goes with the sort of, they sort of have a clam turtle-ness, the pilots.
Oh, yes.
So
I was like, the Leviathans?
No, the Leviathans are space whales.
Yes.
Which is why we now have the, you know, we are now on Moby Dick when the whale hunters turn up, you know. But yes, the pilot, like the way that they aged her sort of felt like she was shedding skin rather than wrinkling skin, which was
yeah, they looked like barnacles almost. Those open sores.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, great puppetry as always.
As always, and I love the expanded depiction of the pilot's den too. This show is just really pretty.
Yeah,
it is. It's pretty and it's a lot of fun.
Both.
Are you ready for the title of the next episode, the two-parter?
Hit me.
What was lost? A warning, folks. The next episode contains scenes of and discussion of sexual assault.
Okay.
First part, sacrifice. Second part, resurrection.
Oh, swell. This isn't another season of death, is it?
No.
All right. I can't handle that again. Everybody died and some of them lived.
There's definitely some drama, but it's different drama than we had last season. Do you have any predictions?
Well, we're getting the gang back together, so the question is, who are we finding next? It's either going to be Dargo or Aaron, I think. And I feel like it would be more interesting if they put off Aaron longer. So I think I trust Farscape to string me along like that.
Any other predictions for what you might expect this season?
I hope we get Moya back. I miss Moya.
Yeah. Mandy, and of course, knows what's coming. Do you want to make any wacky fake predictions?
Rigel's going to have Shiana's baby.
That's not that wacky for this show.
Good point.
They're going to attack Grayza with hummus.
You should never see it coming.
Okay, so we will have that for you in 2 weeks. The reaction to this episode should be up for patrons on the same day as this discussion. For everyone. We thank you for coming with us on this journey, and we look forward to you coming along with us on the rest of the season. And Mandy, thank you so much for guesting on this episode. It won't be the last we have you.
Yay,
Thanks,
good.
Thanks,
I hope
Mandy.
not, because I gotta make a solid 4, maybe even a 5. Let's do this.
5 Timers Club. Here we come.
Yes.
We should get a special badge.
Yeah.
I would love that. I'd wear it all the time.
Does any of our listeners or watchers out there with artistic buildings want to make a repeat guest badge for our friends?
Please.
And an 1812 plushie for Sara.
Yes.
Send me your knitting patterns for 1812 if you can
Send
find
them.
one. I love that little guy. So yeah, we'll have to get you an 1812 sticker as well, Josh.
I'm down.
There are some good stickers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite part of this episode, Mandy?
It's got to be when John's sticking his butt out trying to get the dog to bite it. Gotta be my favorite part. I love it so much.
We always do appreciate Ben Browder's workout routine.
We always appreciate Ben Browder.
Bless him.
He gives it all. Sikozu reaching out to grab the rope with her bad hand.
I think it's the end when 1812 brings him his pen to start again, and then he gets whistling.
And then it goes full diegetic. We watched those credits all the way to the end. Or I did. I don't know where you got it. I'm sorry.
Oh yes, we did on the reaction because I was conducting. Because
okay, good. We watched those credits all the way to the end.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because it's just I love the 1812. Like I said, I am a fan of the Russians. I love Tchaikovsky. Shostakovich is also great. A bit of a later Russian, but Rachmaninoff, like the pianists and the big music, and Tchaikovsky just big, dramatic, just so much fun. I do also love the Nutcracker Suite, and a lot of I like classical music. It is a thing.
Same.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and especially when you pair it with like the action sequence and the pyrotechnics and all that, it's just delightful.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that is got to be my second favorite part next to a little. Should we start again? So, okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us as always. Thank you, Mandy, again, and we will be back in 2 weeks' time with What Was Lost, both parts with Zilla.
Yay! See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. I don't know if we're all at the same time, right? If you were all doing a song.
This will be the outtake. And I also, especially since I just bumped the microphone.
Love it.
Perfect. No notes.